The ab wheel rollout is a great core exercise when done properly. Unfortunately, it's also an exercise that most people get wrong. I'll show you the 7 most common mistakes the average person makes and how to fix them. Sup guys, Daniel Vadnal, Fitness FAQs. The first area I want to talk about is the hip flexion component of the ab wheel rollout. Now this first version may seem perfectly fine to you. I mean, after all, I am staying in a hollow body shape, right? If we want to optimize our form, this is not the best approach. Let me explain why. By starting in a hip flex position, we're not only reducing our range of motion, but also relying more on our hip flexor muscles to assist in the rollout. This is okay when you're first starting out because beginners need to use all their available muscle groups to complete the rollout. With this flexed form, take note of the start position. The hips are flexed and the roller is close to the body. Also, in the end position, there's quite a large distance between my belly button and the floor, which shows the excessive flexion at the hip, even at end range. What you want to do instead is start and remain in a hip extended position. You can see the difference in the setup here. My bum is back towards the heels and the posture is quite flexed. As the hips are extended forwards, the tension in the midsection increases as the core muscles are now working in a lengthened state. I want you to check out this comparison here so you can completely understand what I'm talking about. The top video is the hips flexed error and the bottom is the hips extended correction. It's a small detail, but the minor change in hip position will completely change the feel of the exercise and of course the results that you get from the rollout. At the end range of motion, the hips extended posture forces the abs to work harder and the distance traveled is actually greater, meaning more core strength. The other difference in form is the starting position. To stay on tension with the hips extended technique, the roller will be a fair distance ahead of the body when you come back. Compare this to the hips flex technique. The bum is coming back towards the heels, which means the hip flexors have done a huge amount of work to finish off the exercise. Alright, here we go. The ultimate sin for the ab wheel rollout, lower back position. I'm sure most of you watching this video have seen other people make this mistake, relaxing the anterior core and letting the lower back arch. This tends to happen when people don't respect the exercise enough and fail to create the required tension throughout range. Otherwise, it simply comes down to not being strong enough to roll out entirely and the range of motion must be reduced, or other core work should be trained first. Speaking of range of motion, consistency with form is difficult to maintain when doing your rollouts. The first few reps will be excellent, full range of motion with good technique. Next thing you know, the rest of the reps are hit or miss. One is really short, the next is medium range, then short. You realize the previous one is short and then you go too far and then the lower back arches. It's really difficult to get right, especially on high rep sets. The solution? Buy my Fitness FAQs tape measure and use my discount code. Just kidding guys. Grab a tape measure to track the intensity of the exercise. I want you to measure the distance from the wall to your knees, as I find that this is a reliable and repeatable method for tracking your progress. There's no more lying to yourself with your exercise form when it comes to using this technique. This way, every rep of the rollout will be consistent. You either tap the wall or you don't. It's helpful to track the distance in your training program and over time, progressively overload by working further from the wall. Now let's talk about foot position. It's not an area that people commonly talk about. For beginners, having the feet placed firmly on the floor is a really good idea. It helps with the stability, making the exercise much more linear. As you get stronger and are close to working on the standing version, hover the feet off the ground. This small change introduces a greater rotary stability demand and reduces the base of support, which automatically makes the core have to work harder. You really have to think about all aspects of exercise and these small details to maximize your gains. This is an innocent mistake to make, especially for people who haven't done much straight arm strength. Keeping the elbows bent through range makes the exercise much easier as the wheel doesn't have to roll out as far. On the other hand, you see people start with straight elbows and good intentions and then bend them as they come back. Check yourself that you don't make these mistakes. As I'm sure you guys are well aware by now, at Fitness FAQs we're all about honest training and setting standards to stick to. Keep those elbows straight. I don't know what it is about exercise, but people always want to be a hero and jump straight into the hardest progression imaginable with no preparation. I guess people have just watched someone else do it and figured, I can do that. I can do 20 sit-ups. This will be easy for me. But of course, doing a progression which is too hard is a recipe for disaster. 1, you can get way better results with an easier progression, and 2, the chance of getting injured is substantially lower sticking to an exercise that you can actually do. With core-based training, time under tension is super important for strength transfer to our main training goals. I always see people resting off tension when they get back to the start position when they do ab wheel rollouts. Doing rollouts in this way is the easy approach. We don't want easy, we want effective. Don't make the mistake of doing intra-set resting. Keep your set continuous. Finally, let's recap what it takes to correctly do the ab wheel rollout. You should monitor your intensity with a tape measure and use a wall to cue range of motion consistency. As far as hip position, keep the hips in an extended position during the set with the elbows kept straight. Resist the urge for the lower back to arch and make sure that you stay on tension by keeping the roller in front of the body during the set. Thanks for watching all. Do me a favor and absolutely smash that thumbs up button below so that we can put an end to bad form with ab wheel rollouts. And before you guys go, if you like my approach to exercise, you will absolutely love my bodyweight training programs. Go to fitnessfaqs.tv and let me guide you on the path to bodyweight mastery. The ab wheel rollout is a great core exercise when done properly. Unfortunately, it's also an exercise that most people get wrong. I'll show you the 7 most common mistakes the average person makes and how to fix them. Sup guys, Daniel Vadnal, Fitness FAQs. The first area I want to talk about is the hip flexion component of the ab wheel rollout. Now this first version may seem perfectly fine to you. I mean, after all, I am staying in a hollow body shape, right? If we want to optimize our form, this is not the best approach. Let me explain why. By starting in a hip flex position, we're not only reducing